Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the Dallas Cowboys from the brinks of hell are NFC East champions and the 2 seed, not one, but two. And the Philadelphia Eagles are the 5. Can you imagine starting off an NFL season 10-1 and finishing that season 11-6, having your division championship in the grasp, in your hands, your coach walking off the field in Kansas City yelling? Actually, no, being a little bitch and not being able to yell to the Kansas City fans, but waiting till he's underneath the tunnel to yell, "How about now, Kansas City fans? Can't hear you now." And you lose 5 out of your next 6 games, losing to Arizona, losing to Seattle, losing to the Cowboys, losing to the Giants with still a chance to win the division, and you lose. You don't even lose. You get blown out by the Giants, and the Cowboys handle business on the road against Washington 38-10 to win the division. We are back 19 years in a row, Aidan. The show goes on.
Show goes
years
on
in a row.
Carousel goes on. You asked in the beginning of that, you asked if I could imagine it. It is statistically unimaginable to start 10-1, not win your division, and finish 11-6 because it's literally never happened before. That's how big of a collapse this is.
I told my wife tonight, and I was not joking. And for all of you, if it's your first time watching, we are live here, Birds vs. Boys. We are live on Twitter. We are live on YouTube. Get involved in the conversation. Hit the comments. Aidan will pop them up on the screen. We will answer. Aidan will drink bleach. He will do whatever needs to be happening. I think harming yourself is frowned upon on YouTube, Aidan. So we're not going to do that.
Kevin, I literally had to give myself a pep talk before we started tonight that I can't make self-harm jokes on this broadcast because it'll get taken down by YouTube, and I don't want that to happen.
Can't do that.
Like, we got to leave this up. We got to get the content out, and I had to literally remind myself that you can't joke about self-harm because your football team is bad. This is a real thing that I had to do. That is how big this collapse is.
I literally, like I said, I told my wife, I'm married to an Eagles fan, and I do a podcast with an Eagles fan, and I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. I told my wife tonight, when the Eagles were 10-1, there was not a second that I thought that the Cowboys could win this division title. But here we are on January 7th, lovely day after J6. The next day, here we are. The Dallas Cowboys are division champions. They are the 2 seed. And then, of all things, right, Aidan, you as an Eagles fan, you're like, okay, whatever. Cowboys, after last week, Cardinals win. It's still pretty bad, but you know what? We're gonna go and do what we always do, and that's beat the Giants, head into the postseason with our heads a little bit more held high. The Cowboys do whatever they do against Washington. They either win or they lose. And then, halfway through the game, you're like, okay, pull the starters. It's done. It's a mercy. Cowboys are going to win in the division. We are going to Tampa. Cowboys are going to play the Rams. Nobody wants to play the Rams. And then here comes Carson Wentz. Good old Carson Wentz down the field to take the lead.
I was betrayed by my own guy. That was the craziest part of it all. First, but it just makes sense because Carson Wentz is too good of an NFL quarterback. He should be a starting NFL quarterback. And the fact that he came in and won them the game is not surprising at all. But if you saw the go-ahead touchdown, it was a QB draw that was successful. So it's just like, at some point, you just have to laugh. You just have to laugh. It's hard to laugh considering what happened in the game today because people are actually getting injured. But aside from it's just crazy the amount of stuff that's happened to this team over the past month. And what's just the most, I saw a quote and it sums it up perfectly. It's like, I was embarrassed before. Like when we lost the 49ers, like, well, that's embarrassing. We got blown out. When we lost last week, I was mad. This week, I'm embarrassed for them. That's embarrassing. What just happened today? And listen, like you said, they didn't control their own destiny. So it wasn't like they're going 110% in this game because they can look up and see the Cowboys are up 35-10 and ease off the gas. They got blown out from the start. They had no effort from the start. It was just the perfect cherry on top of the shit sundae that in the midst of it, everybody also got hurt while they were getting their doors kicked in by the New York Giants, who were playing for nothing.
It just like watching. I had two TVs stacked on top of each other, and I was just like, I was getting a little nervous there in the beginning of the Cowboys game because the Cowboys went right down the field, but then they had the blocked field goal, tie game, then the interception. Washington takes the lead, but then after that, Dallas just handled it. But I turned to my wife, I go, we might both lose at the start. And then it was like, okay.
That theory was floating around the text groups as well. It's just like how hilarious it would be if the Cowboys lose and we still lose this game.
Talk about double backing into the playoffs.
Right. Oh yeah, it's the scene in Lone Survivor when they fall down the hill.
Yep. Yeah, on top of just like I said, I had my eyes mainly obviously tuned in on the Cowboys game, and I had the audio on that. My wife wanted to kill me. She's like, "Well, I have the audio," because
I had my eyes on a cheese shredder.
But every time every time my eyes went to the screen for the Eagles and the Giants game, it was either a big play or touchdown from the Giants or an Eagles player injured on this side on the ground.
I think let's just sum it all up and get it all out there, because this is how the game went. Giants take the early lead. Eagles move down the field. AJ Brown hurts his knee. Giants score again. Jalen Hurts breaks his finger. Giants score again, 17-0. In the midst of that, Sidney Brown also got hurt. Also later in the game, Cam Jurgens gets hurt. Sidney Brown, like I said, gets hurt. So it's the scene in Step Brothers when he's like, we're not going to be on the boat. Derek's selling the house, and we have to go to therapy. What the fuck happened? That's exactly how I felt. I was like, the whole goal of today was just, get some points going, everything like that. And just like you said, have some mojo going into the playoffs. It was the exact opposite. Yep. Now they might be in a bad position next week too, from a health point of view. So they got curb stomped by the Giants playing for nothing. They looked completely lost on defense again, which I want to get into. And their best receiver is hurt. A week after they hurt their other best receiver running a useless wide receiver screen. So now they lost two of their 1,000-yard wide receivers in the span of 2 weeks against two really bad teams. And who knows if they can play next week? Who knows if Cam Jurgens can play? Who knows if Reed Blankenship can play? All these guys, who knows? I saw that comment from my dad's former student. How about them Cowboys? This is perfect because my dad never gets angry. Cowboy Joe. My dad never gets mad at Philly sporting events. And like the Phillies will lose in some painstaking way, and everyone's fired up, and they want every player fired and cut and released, and he just like goes to bed. And he's been watching that team since 1956. And I'm getting old enough that I'm starting to understand it. Is that there seems to be a pattern with these sports teams that it's not going to lead you to some riveting success. And I'm really starting to understand him when I watch days like today.
We were just talking to my wife before this about all the bad traits my daughter's getting from me. Did you not get that trait from your dad to just go to sleep?
I could have been a Steelers fan. Half my family's from Pittsburgh. I could have had like, how many Stanley Cups did the Penguins win? I could have avoided this all. I could have avoided this all. The vibes, I tweeted this. The vibes of the Eagles are the exact opposite of the Phillies. And I know the Phillies didn't win it all, but they beat their biggest rival in the playoffs. They won 2 playoff series. They have, in the past 2 years, they've had monumental playoff moments, and just every game was just an electric shock to your system with every at bat. It seemed like they would start games, home runs, big plays, shut down innings from pitchers, stuff like that until the end. But through that process, it was amazing. This is a total, completely unbelievable bad vibes collapse from the Eagles that leads you to believe they have like no faith in what's going on in that locker room.
This game today was literally the scene in Step Brothers where Will Ferrell is covering him with dirt in the grave, and he's like, "I'm still alive." Like technically, yeah, they're still alive, but they're being buried to death.
I saw the Jalen Hurts quote where it's like, it doesn't matter if you get knocked down 5 times, it's how you get up to 6. I was like, don't get knocked down 5 fucking times.
Like, I would love for him to just like stand at the podium. Like, listen, not me as a Cowboy. If I was you, if I was an Eagles fan, like, enough with the we're learning, enough with the you getting. Just be like, you know what? That fucking sucked.
Yeah,
and we sucked,
that's
and
what
I
bothers me.
sucked.
Because Sirianni, yeah, they do say it like they have taken accountability for it, and they've tried to do things. But like today, Sirianni was like, "That was bad." Like when you this past month, you want to flush it. He's like, "But you also have to learn from it." You're not learning because every time the defense goes out on the field, it's a catastrophe. Nobody knows where they're supposed to be. I drove past a flag football game today where it's like the 6-year-olds learning how to play and they kind of just like, they don't run plays, they just run around.
Mhm.
That's how the Eagles are playing on defense. It was a second half where there was no pressure at all. They got lost on a play action play before pre-snap. You can see them. They're like moving their hands like this to shift with it. Play starts. Every linebacker's out of place. There's a guy running by himself. On the second series of the game, Avonte Maddox and Josh Sweat dropping into coverage for some reason. They both go at the running back. The slot.
They did that against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys took a touchdown.
Yep. Right across the middle. It's like 20 yards. Guy's running by himself. I think it was Wan'Dale Robinson. Just they're another one. Later in the game, third down, they get lost. Nolan Smith is dropping into coverage, covering Saquon Barkley, one of the most explosive athletes in the NFL. They're constantly lost. And it's like, hey, maybe don't change your scheme 10 weeks into the season and try to, patch it up with Band-Aids over a dam. It's probably not going to work. You probably needed to just ride it out. But on top of that, the guy that they brought in is such a fucking moron that they now have their edge rushers dropping into coverage. It does not work. And you're seeing
I think it works beautifully.
It works beautifully if you are a mediocre tight end who can't get open against safeties or corners or anything like that. That's what it works against. There needs to be a serious discussion about Matt Patricia being allowed in a locker room because Darius Slay called it out from day one that he was a bad vibes person in Detroit. He takes over this defense. I've never seen a defense look more lost. And the Eagles through my lifetime have been really, really good. But there's been some times where they kind of look lost. The last year, Chip Kelly was bad. 2020 was kind of bad. I've never seen a team look this lost on defense. There's been times lack of talent, this lost. And his takeover from Sean Desai corresponds perfectly with this total just meltdown. He is a virus, and the players out there are just a hive mind of this disgusting virus that is Matt Patricia. There needs to be a discussion about why he was hired after he was a failure beyond belief as a coach and went back with his tail between his legs to New England. It didn't work there, and then he was hired here again. Why is he allowed near an NFL locker room? He is a walking virus.
There might be a discussion about Nick Sirianni if they lose next week in Tampa.
He is going to get fired because every other coordinator is so bad. Because we talked about this before. Sirianni doesn't call the plays on offense or defense. So your job is more game management. And we've talked about this with Mike McCarthy.
Mike McCarthy.
You can't figure out the tight end. You can't figure out the timeouts.
You're the CEO.
Is your job? You're not calling plays. How do you not know how many timeouts are left? We've talked about that with Mike McCarthy.
What do you do here?
We are in that scene. What is it that you do here with Nick Sirianni? Because if you're hiring the coordinators and this is happening, then your job's on the line. It's like, yeah, he may, if you're going up and doing a group project and he reads his slide and it looks good, but then the other people go up and it's blank slides, you're still getting an F on the report. You're still not walking the stage of graduation. That's the part that Nick Sirianni is in right now. These coordinators are some of the worst in the NFL that you have seen. And they may drag him down and out of a job. And I cannot believe I'm saying that as they're going to the playoffs all 3 times in his Eagles tenure.
As both of their coordinators from last year are now head coaches who both overachieved this year.
Correct.
Wild.
But I miss Shane Steichen so much. I was just thinking that today because it would be an easy day to be like, oh, you can't blame the coordinators. A.J. Brown got hurt and Devontae Smith didn't play. That's exactly the problem. This offense is predicated on those two being superstar players, 1,000 yards each of their seasons, and getting themselves open through sheer talent and Hurts bailing out and finding them. There's no ability to scheme anybody open. So when they're not out there, the offense looks like an unmitigated disaster because there is no creativity Honestly, there's no fucking intelligence with this offensive game plan. So if you want to be like, well, you can't blame anybody because AJ Brown and Devontae Smith weren't there and Jalen Hurts broke his finger, this is the time to blame them. This is your fucking job as a coach, that you shouldn't be relying on talent. You should be able to scheme your guys open at this level of football, and I don't think you could do it in the flag football game down the street with the goddamn 7-year-olds.
Let it out.
I hate that. I want
halfway through this game, I was walking down the steps in my family room, and I hear the TV say something like, current wide receiver 1, Julio Jones with the catch. And I walked to my wife like Robin Williams and Jumanji, and I walked right up to her and I go, what year is it?
They took a deep shot with 2 minutes left down the field to Julio Jones in double coverage, and I was just like, all right, so we're done. Like, I should go to watch Red Zone. Like, is this you guys telling me not to watch anymore? But it's just so bad, and it's just so frustrating because, like, yeah, your best receiver is Julio Jones, who is a future Hall of Famer, but this isn't 2016. We say this on the show all the time, but there's still things that bother you. They're both out, right? Okay, so maybe lean on the run. Kenny, here from Shane Half. Kenny Gainwell had 5 carries for 53 yards, 10.6 yards per carry in the first quarter. In the second quarter, he had 0 touches, and the Eagles ran 13 plays for -3 yards with 1 interception as the Giants pushed a 3-point lead to a 24-point lead. What the fuck are you guys doing in the film room every week? And they were totally thrown off by the Giants scheme, which should just blitz again and again and again and bring pressure, which probably shouldn't surprise you because you played on Christmas. That was 2 weeks ago. How did you not know what was coming? It hasn't even been 2 fucking weeks. It has not been a full 2 weeks. It's been 13 days since you saw this defense.
That was last year, Aidan. That was last year.
Oh, my God.
That was last year. 2023. We're talking about 2024. There's a big difference here. I almost have a shred of feeling bad for you, but then every time I start to feel bad for you, I just remember that the Cowboys won the NFC East.
I hope I die.
Like, and this is kind of what was happening last year. The Cowboys were always chasing, but obviously they couldn't get it done. This year, it's just like I still am almost in disbelief of this collapse.
Kevin, they have an offensive coordinator who can't figure out Engage 8. Every 8-year-old who had Madden could figure out that play and how you beat it. It's like the first thing you learn when you're playing Madden, and these guys can't seem to figure it out.
I say they just,
but it's not.
If they want to win in the playoffs, I say they just do what I've been telling them to do all season. Just tush, push, drive.
I'm not opposed.
Just tush, push, drive.
It would be very funny. Also, Charles Davis today, I don't know if you caught this, but he said he didn't like the tush push. So Ian Eagle asked him, like, well, why are you against it? He provided just no backup as to why he hated the play.
Say it's not a football play?
He didn't even go that far. He was just like, I just don't like it. And he just stumbled on his words as to why he didn't like it. The next drive, there's an offsides. One of the Giants went over the top, helmet to helmet hit on Jalen Hurts. It was clear offsides. And he goes, well, I respect the hustle. What the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, this is all, well, like the MetLife turf claims 8 more victims today. There's a point in this game where Tyrod Taylor got hurt. Tommy DeVito came in. He got hurt. AJ Brown was already out, and Jalen Hurts broke his finger. It was just like, why are we even playing this football game?
And that's what I said to my wife as well. I keep saying that, but I watched the game with her. When I thought Jake Elliott, it looked like he missed the field goal.
Yeah.
I was like, just end the game because he doesn't miss. If he missed that field goal, there's no point of playing in the fourth quarter.
Hey, Brandon Aubrey, little. Could you imagine if this happened again?
Thank God they put him back out there and he hit the 50-yarder right down the middle and ended, because I was like, we cannot back into the playoffs with our kicker having a block and then just a miss after literally making 100% of his field goals all season.
Could you imagine that? He goes 100% in the regular season. Playoffs come around, he gets the yips. That would be insane. It'd be like last year when what's his name couldn't make a kick, couldn't make an extra point.
Oh, Maher.
Didn't he miss like 3 kicks?
Yeah.
Didn't he missed 3 extra points or kicks in general?
Extra points against Tampa. They won. But then he missed the next week too. That was also my fear about playing the Rams because Maher is on the Rams. I'm like, he's going to hit a 65-yarder to beat us in the playoffs.
Someone's getting vengeance on the Rams. I couldn't get over that Carson Wentz performance. Like he was everything that he used to be.
Speaking of the kicker, Brandon Aubrey from the Cowboys, this is a kind of an off subject question, but I need your opinion on this. So he went to Notre Dame, did not play football at Notre Dame, played soccer at Notre Dame. Okay,
still counts.
Notre Dame football, which I am a fan of, put out a tweet and an Instagram post this week congratulating all their players in the NFL who made the Pro Bowl. They put him on that graphic.
No,
they can't do that, right? You can't claim him.
No, you can't claim him. You can claim him as a Notre Dame fan.
Yes, or a student.
You cannot claim him as a Notre Dame football program because what were you doing that you didn't find him on the soccer team to allow him to kick for Notre Dame?
Thank you. And I love Notre Dame, but yeah, he can't be the front and center guy on your picture.
No,
can't happen.
Not at all. So
you head to Tampa.
I head to Tampa. There,
Mike Tagg.
He's having the time of his life right now. It was one of those days I was like, I'm not going to check Twitter because I don't want to know what's going on.
I should. I'm going to text him in our group after this.
Tampa scored 9 points today against a Carolina team that finished worst in the entire NFL. And I'm shocked that they're not favored next week. That's how bad the Eagles have been.
What's the line right now?
It's 2.5 point favorites for the Eagles. So they're like a field goal better on the road. So
I mean, they should win.
The Eagles are the better team.
The Eagles should win that game.
Oh, what? But what
no. I'm not saying that they will. I just I don't know why I feel that way. I guess I shouldn't. And it also tell me, is Devontae playing? Is AJ playing? Is Cam Jurgens playing? Like that all matters.
Exactly. Kevin,
I just actually maybe with Baker always finds a way to do something, and he would. Didn't he throw for like 400 yards against the Packers the other week?
He did. He had a perfect passer rating. This is the craziest thing about this team, though, is everyone talks about, they got lucky earlier in the season and all this stuff. Is like, yeah, there was luck involved, but to be lucky to win, you have to be in the games. And I think back, and they just totally dominated Tampa in week 3. It never felt close. It was a Monday Night Football game, and I think our biggest complaint was they weren't as great as in the red zone. Like they kicked a lot of field goals, but they won by double digits.
Alameda Zacchaeus coming out party.
Correct. He had the big touchdown, and they just totally handled that game and never felt close. They were up by double digits most of the game. Nothing's changed with this team. It's the same guys in the locker room.
With this team, Aidan. Everything has changed.
Everything's morale is a negative 700, but I don't get it, right? Like I know people talk about they got lucky. All this stuff is they beat Tampa's in the playoffs. They beat them handily. The Rams, who were just talking about you didn't want to face them in the first round, they beat them pretty handily. They won.
You know what the best part about this whole thing is going to be? They're going to put the Eagles Tampa game on Saturday night, exclusively streaming on Peacock.
That'd be great. I can't remember my password. It would save me a lot of grief.
How do you put a playoff game just on Peacock? That's outrageous.
This is a much larger macro conversation, but there's too many streaming services. Mm-hmm. We're just right back to cable. If I have to pay for 8 streaming services, that costs the same amount as cable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm very interested. I mean, it won't be the Cowboys, and I don't think it'll be the Eagles. They're both too big of draws. I think literally Jerry Jones would be like, no.
Yeah, he'd be like, are you insane?
Nope.
It would make no sense.
I don't want to be on Monday night. Give me the Sunday afternoon or Sunday night game.
We had a YouTube commenter who pointed out the trends, and both years it's been 4-5 NFC was Monday Night Football, and the Saturday night game was the AFC. I forget what it was. It was the 4-5 AFC was Saturday. 4-5 NFC was always Monday, and that's been the trend so far. So I don't know if we'd be on Peacock. Our draws this year have been really good in terms of television ratings, so I don't know, but feels like a Houston.
Peacock will probably be like Texans Browns.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a Houston Cleveland game.
Yep. Yeah.
Or I guess exactly it depends on or Buffalo, probably Pittsburgh if they win. Who knows?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I go to Tampa. You said last week on our show that going to Tampa, getting out of Philadelphia, like that's kind of what they need. But it's kind of what they did today. They went away.
Kind of. They crawled. I still believe in this, right? Like I still believe in that line of thinking where it's like they get tense at home now because every fan rightfully is like, you guys are fucking up. And so you'll play on the road. It's not really an intense type of home field advantage for Tampa. Might be half Eagles fans, to be honest with you. It kind of resets them. I don't believe in it's, well, we're all 0-0 now. It's like, well, you were 1-5 before you got to 0-0. So cut that out. But there is some logic to like, you beat this team already. Get your guys back. And today was like a half-assed effort as it was. They rested Fletcher Cox. DeAndre Swift was out. Darius Slay could have played, but he didn't. Devontae Smith, another guy who probably would have played if this was a big game. It wasn't. So hopefully you're getting your horses back. And, you know, they desperately just need a feel-good win. They just need to play.
Well, they just need to win or it's over.
Well, great
at this point.
Hot take. They just need to win. They'll start to feel a little bit better.
If they don't, they'll feel a little bit better on vacation.
They will. But nothing leads. I believe in them. Because I just think they're too talented not to. But there's nothing from these coordinators that suggests to me that they could win a playoff game. I'm sorry. I will ride 100% and believe that they are going to beat Tampa Bay Bucks, and I think that they will. You can see the script coming a mile away. They beat Tampa Bay. They go to San Francisco. They play them somewhat tough, but lose in the end. And everyone's like, oh, did we kind of just overreact? Their schedule was kind of tough, and they were learning on the fly. The new defense, oh, maybe they're not as bad as they thought. They are. Howie Roseman, they are. Fix this, please, in the offseason. Fix this. Do not let this happen again. Fire both coordinators. You need to get more talent on defense. They're
learning. They're learning.
Are learning.
Every time they say they learn, they're like
reading level.
They're like the C- kid consistently, C- D+ kid in high school whose parents don't believe that he's that bad, but he's actually really smarter. So they like pay a tutor for his SATs and he takes the SATs and he gets a 900, and then they pay another tutor and they're like, no, honey, it's okay. You're going to do better this time. He's learning. And then he does it again. He gets like a 925. And they're like, well, maybe you're just not learning enough from that. Let's try another tutor. And then they, they demote their defensive coordinator and they bring up another tutor and he takes the SATs again and he gets a 915 this time. So it's like, they're that kid.
They are that student, 100%. What they did to Sean Desai just looks criminal at this point. Their best defensive performances this year were under him.
Mm-hmm.
It's gotten worse since he's left. So you pretty much screwed this guy. He won't be back with the team next year, obviously. You already pseudo fired him. It was such a bad look that I doubt anybody else would give him a defensive coordinator position. And now it's actually gotten even worse since he's been gone. So do I think he was doing a good job? Not particularly. They were terrible on third downs, but the best performances they had, like they dominated at times against the Dolphins, against Chiefs. Yeah.
They handled, they took care of business when they needed to against the Bills.
The Rams, they didn't allow a touchdown in the second half against the Rams. That was all Sean Desai.
They had that first quarter against the 49ers.
He was gone then, right? I forget when they demoted him. I think it was around then.
Okay, maybe it was
the Cowboys. No. It was the Seahawks game.
Yeah.
But then they let the human virus, Matt Patricia in, and now look where we're at.
Cuban COVID-19. Cuban COVID-23.
I can't do it anymore.
Can we bring some good vibes into the show now?
Yeah, Cowboys. You did it.
We did it, ladies and gentlemen. We did it. 2023/2024, I don't know. NFC East champions. We're back. Like I said earlier, the show goes on as Devontae A-Chain takes it into the end zone for a touchdown. Miami up 6-0. 19 straight years. No division champion has repeated in the NFC East, which is just absolutely bananas if you think about
our odds next year.
It's unbelievable. So congratulations to somebody else next year ahead of the game. I'm going to be You know, that like those way too early predictions or way too
Yeah.
early mock drafts. I'm doing the way too early congratulations for next year's NFC East champion.
Oh, don't worry, Kevin. I was already the opponents for next year came out
Uh-huh.
after the games ended today. I was
Oh,
already doing win, win, loss, win
oh, I
against
didn't
like
look. I
our
didn't look that
opponents
up for
for
the Cowboys.
2024.
I got to see that. Who do we?
We play
What
the
divisions do we play?
we play the NFC South and the AFC North.
Okay,
Quite
so
interesting.
so that means after you beat Tampa, you're going to start the season against Tampa.
Yes. Yes.
hmm Just like the Cowboys, like when they didn't they lose to Tampa, and then they started against Tampa the next
Mhm.
season. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Um, but the Cowboys come roaring back from second place. Aidan, second place is only the first loser. I'm sorry. They come roaring. It was like a NASCAR race on the second to last lap. They're drafting, and that car ahead of them blows a back tire and right
We
around
blew 4 tires.
all of them, right into the wall.
The engine exploded.
Didn't even make it to the pit. Unbelievable. But I have to tip my cap to Mike McCarthy. This season, he took over play calling. We saw what Kellen Moore did with Justin Herbert and the Chargers this year. I think we can all be officially done with the Kellen Moore era. The thing that I tip my hat the most to Mike McCarthy is they started out the season and everyone was kind of like, what is this offense? It's predictable. Nothing's happening. And then that San Francisco game happened. They got punched in the face and they looked at themselves in the mirror and they actually made changes, which I could not believe, but they did. More movement. They got, I don't know, CeeDee Lamb involved all the time. And we're going to have to start having serious discussions about him being top 3 receiver in the league. I don't even think it's top 5.
Every time I see his stat line, I want to put my hand in a blender because it's just I wanted him so badly, and now the way they utilize him, where it's just like, yeah, get your best player of the ball. We talk about it every week, but I just can't get enough of it. 13 receptions again today, 98 yards, 2 touchdowns. When Dak needs him, he finds him. They scheme him open so well. Oh, it's beautiful. It's beautiful to watch, and it's painful.
We have a really great question here, Aidan, which I feel like this is actually, we're talking about CeeDee Lamb. This is a great question for both of us. So the question for both of us, who are the 6th most integral players for each team's playoff success? So I need 6 fingers here. That's a lot. So for the Cowboys, I'm going to go Dak Prescott, obviously. Without your quarterback having success in the playoffs, you can't win. 2, I'm going to go Tyron Smith at left tackle because we've always seen what happens to this team if they lose Tyron. It just goes down. He has been an unsung hero this season. I think he's only allowed 1 sack to Aiden Hutchinson. That was it all season. So I'm going to go Tyron. 3, the guy we were just talking about, CeeDee Lamb. This offense goes as CeeDee Lamb goes. They will continue to do that. 4, it's the home wrecker, Micah Parsons. If Micah shows up,
That's his nickname.
what?
Home wrecker.
Oh no, I just made that up.
Okay,
That's like the nickname. He wrecks everything. If he shows up in the playoffs, you've never heard that before?
I've heard of home wrecker, but I've not heard it in a football term.
If he shows up in the playoffs and does what he does, whether it be getting after the passer, stopping the run, playing a little off ball, doing it all, being that Swiss Army knife, he's going to cause problems for everybody. And I got 2 more. I thought I only had 1 more. I got 2 more fingers. The other one I'm going to put is also on the defensive line is DeMarcus Lawrence. Actually, yes, DeMarcus Lawrence, because I think he is the most underrated defensive lineman in the entire league. The way he plays the run, his impact is just, he just gets it done on every down. We saw what he did against Seattle with that fourth down stop. We saw it today against Washington. He can be a man among boys sometimes. And I mean, there's so many other. I could go Brandon Cooks here. I could go Stephon Gilmore, hopefully coming back from what they're saying now is just a dislocated shoulder. He's going to be able to play. The linebackers, but I'm going to do it here. It's got to be Tony Pollard. We need the running game to get going. He looked a lot better today. Probably his best game of the season. I still can't believe he was ready to 1,000. Can you believe he was ready to 1,000 yards this season? Can't believe it.
Well, that's the weakest 1,000. Calvin Ridley had 1,000 yards receiving though. We might have to change it to like 1,200 as the benchmark.
Another,
yeah.
But I'm gonna go Tony Pollard / Rico Dowdle, like the running game itself. They need to get the running game going because it needs to be established. This offense needs the threat, even if you're not going to run it consistently, because this offense goes through the passing game. I think we see that and we know that now. But without the threat of the run and the ability to keep the defense off balance, you are going to have problems. Aidan?
Okay. I'm going to go Darius Slay number 1 because I'm ranking my players on most likely to punch Matt Patricia in the face and start a mutiny that could rally the team. Darius Slay, number 1. Hassan Reddick, who dropped into coverage on the first 2 plays of the game despite having double-digit sacks last year, would be number 2 to punch him in the face and start a mutiny. Number 3 would be A.J. Brown, who said that they should believe in the coaches. I think that they shouldn't believe in the coaches at all and start a mutiny and rally together and not listen to any of the coordinators and do their own thing. I respect the hell out of A.J. Brown for trying to rally the troops. That press conference was awesome. I genuinely feel bad that he got hurt today, and I hope he can play next week. He is an overall X factor. I hope they force feed him the ball the way that they do CeeDee Lamb with the Cowboys. At 4, I'm going to go Fletcher Cox because it could be his last game as an Eagle. He's played well all year long. Another guy who, we could cause. I want him. We're talking mutants. At 5, Jalen Carter, because I feel like I'm hearing his name less and less.
Rookie wall.
I feel like you're at a rookie wall, but he could be an X factor in the playoffs. So I would like him to be an X factor in the playoffs. And then I would say 6 would be the combination, just like you, with the running backs, DeAndre Swift, Kenny Gainwell, where I think if we bully these coordinators enough and bully Brian Johnson enough, they'll just like run them the ball and be like, well, if this is how we lose, this is how we lose. And the fans will this is what they wanted. See, ha. And then it might actually work though. So those are my 2.
Shout out Charlie Moe.
Thank you, Charlie Moe.
Appreciate it. I just cannot believe the way that the Dallas Cowboys play at home to now have the 2 seed is such an advantage to them. And as I say that, here comes Jordan Love probably. Something crazy is going to happen, just like always does in the Cowboys offseason, postseason, just like they have in the past against the Packers. It's just I don't want to say they overachieved, but everything was kind of, you took it and handed it to you at the same time. Now take advantage of it, right? You get to stay home until the NFC Championship game, unless somehow the 49ers get knocked off, where then you get to host the NFC Championship game.
What if we beat the 49ers in the second round? Writing that off?
Can you imagine somehow the Eagles rally and it's Birds versus Boys NFC Championship game?
It would be the funniest possible outcome. I have thought about this a lot today, like 11 a.m. doing chores. I was thinking about the possibility of, speaking of funniest possible outcomes, the Packers going into Dallas the year after Aaron Rodgers is gone. The big bad man. He's finally gone. And Jordan Love beating you guys. You would never, I would FaceTime you every 10 minutes to remind you from now until next September. It would be so funny if that happened.
Could happen.
It could happen. Why no Jalen Hurts on my list? So I think I had Jalen Hurts. I didn't say him, but he's kind of sprinkled into my answers. Like A.J. Brown, I want Jalen to force feed him the ball if A.J. is able to go.
No. That doesn't mean you don't get 7. You don't get 7 players.
Well, all right. So here's my other line of thinking. Jalen played well against the Cardinals, and we just never saw him on the field because there was just constant 8-minute drives. Somebody on the defense needs to make a play to get off the field and stop looking lost so that Jalen can have the ball. So I feel like in order for Jalen to succeed, there are factors around him that need to come to play. We need coordinators who are less dumb, but I'm not hopeful. And like defensive players who get sacks, force turnovers to put our offense in fortuitous situations, which has not happened in over a month. So that's kind of why I didn't put Jalen on the list, is because I need the deep. It's defensive heavy. I need those guys to make plays.
And I just need the Dallas Cowboys to make a deep playoff run here.
I'm very fearful that our NFC Championship jokes are coming to an end.
That's like when the ring jokes ended for you guys.
I felt a curse lifted. I felt like Bill Murray when he woke up and he didn't hear the song on the radio and it was February 3rd instead of February 2nd. Groundhog Day was over. That's how I felt.
I think they can. This is the matchup I believe they were hoping for. Everything kind of fell into place with Carson Wentz and winning and the Eagles losing, and it's just now go home and take care of business, right? We'll figure out tonight when they're playing. I'm assuming it's probably going to be Sunday, unless somehow they give us the Monday night game again, which I really don't want to deal with.
I'm fearful we're going to be the Monday night game, but I guess an extra day to heal our fingers and our knees and our eyeballs, whatever else we hurt today.
I'm surprised there hasn't been like any like leaks or anything.
Kevin, the leaked stories from this locker room, if we lose next week, will be as long as the Bible of what internally went wrong. It would put the burn book in Mean Girls to shame. What's about to happen with the way this has ended, the way they've just laid down and refused to fight, and they're going out as pathetic as possible. They lose next week. You're going to get booklets, encyclopedias, almanacs worth of stories on what went wrong in that locker room.
Josina Anderson.
Well, Alshon's gone, so that was the most obvious leak of all time. Remember that? It was just so obviously out.
Let's play a little game real quick.
Is it Russian roulette? Because I'm in.
So let's go through teams who may be looking for a head coach as of tomorrow, Monday.
Okay.
So we already know Carolina is.
Yep. Chargers.
And the Raiders are.
Possibly.
Chargers
too.
Yeah, and the Chargers. So that's the three. So let's just go through the divisions. Miami, no. Buffalo, no. I do not think the Jets are gonna cancel. New England.
Yes.
You think Bill is done?
Yep.
Okay. So that'll be, we're at 4 now. New England, yes. Baltimore, no. Cleveland, no. Pittsburgh, no. Cincinnati, no. Correct?
No.
Houston, no. Jacksonville.
Maybe. That was also a bad collapse. And Trevor Lawrence is not taking off the way that you would like him to elevate. And I feel like that was the entire reason they brought this coaching staff in.
They were like everybody's like darling to make the AFC Championship game.
I picked them to win. We got to go back and look at our division predictions. How about
Willie?
Willie, I'm not doing well. I'm gonna end it all.
So possibly Indy. No, this is my biggest question. Tennessee. Mike Vrabel. 6-11.
You know why? He's going to New England. What would make the most sense as heir apparent to Bill Belichick? It would be Mike Vrabel.
I heard it was Brian Kelly. He's always linked to every NFL job. It's like, no, he would never work in the NFL.
He goes 8-4 in college.
Yeah.
And trust me, that doesn't always work.
Nope, does not.
Chip Kelly.
Kansas City, no. Las Vegas already looking. We will see if they stay with Antonio Pierce.
I think they will, by the way.
Denver, no. Chargers, yes.
Definitely.
Dallas, no. Philly, maybe. Giants, Daboll's not going anywhere.
Which is,
I don't think.
Yeah.
Washington, yes.
Yeah, gone. He might already be gone by the time you hear this. And we're live.
I would say nobody in the NFC North.
The Bears. Matt Eberflus is gone.
Oh, I thought I heard they were holding on to him.
Why?
Don't know.
What have you seen in the if they're controversial on keeping Justin Fields or not, you can't keep the coach.
Yep. Agreed. I
maybe
agree.
I'm wrong, but
Tampa, no. New Orleans, no. Atlanta?
Fuck yes. Can I just say one last time for Arthur Smith? I love fantasy football. I love it. And he hated it. And every week he made it a point when they asked him about getting the ball to the players, he'd make a joke about fantasy football and like, well, we're not playing for fantasy. We're playing for real life. Well, pal, I didn't draft Bijan Robinson in the first round and pick 8. You did. Like, it's not a fantasy thing. You drafted skill position players in real life in the top 10 3 straight years and can't get them the ball. That's worse than fantasy.
Funniest part was after fantasy football is all done, he gets the ball to Bijan Robinson and
I know.
Awesome. And then I would say nobody in the NFC West, right? San Francisco, LA, Seattle, Arizona. No.
Probably not. No.
So I think we're about 7, maybe 8 coaches.
Yeah, that sounds about right. It was trending more, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's.
I think even if Dallas loses at home to Green Bay, I don't think Mike goes anywhere.
Really, I think that'd be the one thing where they're like, because you keep hitting the same wall.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, it's the Doc Rivers effect. I can't believe I watched Doc Rivers for 5 years, and this coaching staff is somehow worse. This is insane.
Another 12-win season. I don't see it.
Yeah, it's tough, right? I guess it depends. We'll have to see, because this time it's different. Like in years past, it's like, all right, we didn't build a roster good enough to beat the 49ers. If you lose at home to the Packers, who are the 7 seed, like you did everything right, you're the 2 seed, woo, and then all of a sudden, like you turn into like you fold in the playoffs again, like that might become like, oh
yes,
it becomes common denominators, and I don't think they're going to blame Dak. They're probably going to blame the coach first.
And I think this week is going to be very personal for Mike too. Going up against the Packers last year when Dallas went into Green Bay, lost a heartbreaker in overtime, a game they never should have lost. He took that unbelievably personal. If they do lose to Green Bay at home, he might just walk away himself.
Yeah, that might be it.
I don't know, but I think they're going to be locked in. I think they're going to be ready to play for Mike. I think Mike's going to be ready to do whatever he needs to do to win this game, as Gabe Davis and somebody else are hobbling off the field for the Buffalo Bills.
That life turf strikes again.
Tie ball game.
It's crazy that we just let this happen, by the way. The turf. Like, why don't the Giants and Jets speak up about this?
Didn't they change it? It's a new turf this year.
It's still bad.
Yeah. Well,
it's still not real grass.
You know what is real? Division championship for the Dallas Cowboys. But now is the time. Now is where we move forward. Division, cool. Enjoy it. Win a goddamn playoff game, and then win another one, and then win another one, and then win another one. And like I told you yesterday, Aidan, my wife surprised me. We are going to Puerto Rico beginning of February. I don't know if she did this purposely, probably not, but she planned the trip literally the weekend in between the NFC and AFC championship game and the Super Bowl. No football to be had. Perfect time. But if the Dallas Cowboys are somehow in the Super Bowl and I am drunk on a beach in Puerto Rico, I am going to be unbearable.
If you were the week after, you could just float off into the abyss, into the ocean, be like, I've lived to see everything I wanted to see. It doesn't get better than this. I'm just gonna drift off into the distance, literally into the sunset.
Or I could just do that there after they lose to the 49ers.
Or that too. Then we got to worry about you.
Then I'm definitely not coming back. Oh, goodness gracious. But we did it, Aidan. We did it. Well, you did something. I don't know what you did.
I tried so hard for my couch. I tried. I had that. That's the worst part is I love watching sports. The team just has no. It's hard to root for them. There's just no energy. They just come out and it's just kind of boring.
Aidan, they were 10-1.
They even won that Bills game. Everyone can say they're lucky. They scored 37 points. They drove down the field and put it in the overtime, and then drove down the field in overtime and scored a touchdown. It doesn't get better than that. What the hell?
And then the 49ers had -6 yards in the first quarter against them.
We were up to 6 up. And that was after we beat the Chiefs, Dolphins, Bills. You look at it now, all the playoff teams that they beat 6 playoff teams this year.
How
They beat
about this?
6 playoff teams.
Everybody was wrong about the gauntlet. The gauntlet was
Arizona,
Seattle, Arizona, and the Giants.
the Giants.
That was the gauntlet.
I just can't get over them not being able to figure out the Giants blitzing as if it didn't just happen 2 weeks ago. Like, that is such a crystal clear sign.
I don't know.
Maybe
Their defensive coordinator is Wink Martindale, who everyone knows just blitzes every play.
Every time as it is, and now they have nothing to play for. And it's so easy to just be like, oh, they're just blitzing, just finding a safety outlet. And it's like, it actually could be that easy.
Like tonight and today, like for me as a Cowboys fan, right? Just think about all the things that went right. The Cowboys blew out Washington in Ron Rivera's last game. And I don't know if you know this, but Ron Rivera's all-time coaching record was exactly at 500. So now he is below 500, and he will never get another head coaching job again. Sorry, Ron. Done. The Eagles literally get embarrassed against the Giants. The Giants win, and then that kicks them out of the top 5 in the draft. Thank you very much. And then Carson Wentz wins.
Yep.
And then Dallas doesn't have to play the Rams. And then my daughter pukes all over my wife's Eagles shirt to end the night.
With where you're going with that, I was like, how does this fold into the good things that happen?
It's just like,
I have the energy with the playoffs starting of in the Hunger Games when they win, but then they bring back the victors to do the Hunger Games again. That's kind of how I feel with this season. Like, we went to the Super Bowl, we defeated the Hunger Games, and now they made us go back into the Hunger Games again. And it was so just emotional and tiring the first time that I just feel like going through the Hunger Games process again is going to be extremely difficult.
You know what you need to do?
Die.
You need to somehow get in contact with someone who can leak. Oh my God. What's Matt Patricia's name in the Epstein list this week?
If you leave it up to the Wayne Police Department the other day, that was the only thing they didn't accuse me of, was being on that list.
If you can get him,
I had the worst weekend of my life.
Yeah, now that we're thinking about it,
this is horrible. Not really. I had a good weekend. The sports,
though. The vibes could be back next week. It only takes one more win. Because, like you said, they just need a good vibes win. No, Aidan, they just need a win. Because if they don't win, it's over.
But if they do, they'll just be like, "Oh, we're back." You know, like they'll just pop up. You know, like I'm sure Emma, who threw up, she threw up, and then you sent me a picture. She's having a fun time in bath time. That would be the Eagles. They'd beat the Bucks, and they'd be like, "Oh, we're back." Oh. You know, like they'll just be happy, hunky dory again.
And now she's fully asleep.
Yeah, that'll be us in the fourth quarter against the 49ers in the divisional round. But again, like I just feel like someone has to snap their fingers and get them out of this trance and just be like, guys, you're good at football. Like, you're a really talented offensive team. You guys, you can do this. I feel like AJ Brown was trying to remind them of that, but I think it's there, and it might happen against Tampa Bay, and who knows what happens from there.
It's just so funny that all season it was like they were 10-1. They were, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 0, 8, 0, and everyone's like, they just haven't clicked yet.
They went the wrong way.
They don't look, and then they start losing. Maybe that's who they were the whole time.
No, we just haven't clicked yet. Next week will be the week. Tampa, wild card weekend.
They got a lot of learning to do this.
You guys, it's like Fast and Furious, the first movie when Paul Walker hits his nitros too fast, and then Vin Diesel's like, right at the end. That'll be us.
Oh God. All right. For everybody who has been watching us here on YouTube and on Twitter, we much appreciated. This was our live. We had to go live, but we will be doing one of our normal episodes this week. Probably 2. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how the week goes. Maybe we'll put out a couple short clips too, because obviously we are both in the playoffs. We gotta give you guys as much content as possible to preview both of these games. But thank you for watching. If it's your first time and you are on YouTube, make sure you smash that subscribe button. If you are watching off via Twitter, make sure you are following us at Birds vs. Boys Pod. I am Kmess 22 on Twitter, and that is Aidan A _ something Powers / Jalen Carter on Twitter. Make sure you subscribe because you don't want to miss anything. We are here throughout the playoffs. Hopefully it'll be a deep run for the Dallas Cowboys, and the poor Philadelphia Eagles are put down like Old Yeller in Tampa.
Last week was our single most watched episode of the season on YouTube. It was our single biggest week in terms of subscribers. It's our
AJ
biggest
Brown
show.
checking in.
That was hard to watch as a Birds fan. It was horrible to watch.
Is this AJ Brown's dad?
Jim Brown. Could you imagine? I love the profile picture, by the way. It was bad. It was really bad. It's gotten to the point of beyond frustration, and now it's embarrassment. But like we said, YouTube, our single most watched episode of the season, biggest since the Super Bowl, and it surpassed the largest, which was our Micah Parsons draft breakdown video. Single biggest week in terms of subscribers as well. So you came at the right time. The playoffs are starting. Hopefully the Eagles can hang on and win a few here. I'm unfortunately a lot more confident in the Cowboys. Regardless, we'll be here for you for the long haul. So
and if you are,
thank you to everybody.
If you're a Cowboys fan and you want to get rid of some voodoo, or if you're an Eagles fan and you just want to bask in it a little bit, this week on Twitter, I'm going to be making a thread of all the crazy shit that has happened in terms of Cowboys playoff exits, whether it be the 3rd and 19 throw from Aaron Rodgers, the Romo drop against Seattle, the Dak running up the middle with 7 seconds left and running out of time. All of those videos on a thread, because I just need to get all the voodoo juices out. I just need to get them all out. So hopefully everything comes down and it's calm and we have a nice focused playoff run. And if you're an Eagles fan, you just want to bask in the glory of old Cowboys misery, come on over.
We need it. That'll be a good pick-me-up. That's exactly what we need. It's kind of like you're doing what they did in Ted Lasso when Danny Rojas hurts his ankle. And they're like, we got to get the bad vibes out of here.
Yep.
They sacrifice something.
You need it too.
I might sacrifice myself to say.
Maybe you should start putting out like videos like AJ or Julio Jones 4 times straight in the corner of the end zone, or the ball off the knee that was intercepted.
Good vibes moments of the playoffs.
That's what you need.
The Ertz 4th and 1 catch against the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Hang in there, Eagles fans. I'm going to be hanging. I don't think it's going to be in there.
Oh, don't you worry, Jim. The Dez caught it. We'll be in there.
Yeah,
don't you worry.
One in the thread.
And on top, I don't know if you also remember in that game, Jim, even a bigger play that happened that most people forget because the Dez caught it was the DeMarco Murray fumble. If you go back on YouTube and Google DeMarco Murray fumble Packers playoff, he literally was on his way into the end zone. There was nothing but green grass, and out of nowhere just gets swiped and just loses it. The game was over, and the Cowboys were heading to the NFC Championship game. But yeah, there goes that.
Rough.
The amount of stuff that's happened to them in the playoffs is just unbelievable.
I told you before, you might be the Sixers.
But what did we say, Aiden? The curse is broken. Oh, Jimmy Johnson is in the Ring of Honor.
Good vibes move. You and I. We say this all the time. Vibes, guys. It's all about being the popular vibes, guys. So
Jimmy Johnson goes in. Decker doesn't report.
Well, he did to all of us except for the one person who mattered.
Maybe don't worry about confusing the other team and just run your damn play.
No, they ran it.
They
ran it. They did. That was one of the this is what I'll end with. They showed like the top red zone plays of the year, and I was like, oh, there wasn't anything too crazy that happened this year. Like, and that moment wasn't on there, but that certainly is a monumental moment of the season with the did he report, did he not report? But I know the NFL quite well. And if things are like, this seems kind of monotonous, this seems kind of regular, it was an average regular season. Whoa. That means we're about to get a very chaotic playoff sequence. And I'm very excited.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. The Dallas Cowboys are your 2023 NFC East champions. The Philadelphia Eagles are just first, last place.
Should I break his finger off? Bend it down a little
Wait,
bit.
break his finger? Boop.
Yeah. Boop. What
We
a
will
day.
see-
What a month.
What a week. What a time to be alive.
Oh, man.
gonna
All
end
they
it
had
with
to do was beat the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, if you beat the Diamondbacks, you wouldn't even be caring as much right now.
I don't even think I would have watched today.
Go.
Or next week.
And you can't even. And the Sixers are losing to the Jazz.
I'd still be on Broad Street if the Phillies would have beat the Diamondbacks.
You definitely would have been arrested.
Don't worry, I took care of that.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, everybody. Thank you for
I
watching.
shouldn't say that. So for legal reasons, that is totally a joke. That did not happen.
Just a joke. Complete joke. Thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe. Dallas Cowboys against the Packers. Philadelphia Eagles against the Bucks. We will know times and dates hopefully soon. I'm tired. I want to go to sleep, but now I feel like I just need to stay up to the end of this game because I'm sure those times are going to be coming out tonight.
Yep.
So enjoy the ride. The playoffs are here. I'm going to end it with this. The NFL season always goes too fast. We have an extra week now, and it seems like it goes faster.
It's crazy.
I literally count down in my head how many NFL games are left. Even if the Cowboys aren't in it, like even if your team's not in it, just enjoy the games because we're going to be sitting here at the end of February and you're going to click and it's going to be NASCAR and Marquette and Binghamton playing, right? And that's what we're going to have. And then we're going to be looking forward to spring training games and baseball.
April,
and then it's summer, and then we're kind of happier. But we live for football. All of us do. Mm-hmm. My wife said to me this morning, how do you care so much? How do you? And then when she dare ask why the Cowboys game was on the big TV with volume, all I said to her was, because I care more. That's why. Good night.